Good morning, everybody. It has been a couple of days since I last actually vlogged. I've had a couple of uploads go up anyway for Vlogtober, which was my exciting news that I'm pregnant with baby number 2. So exciting. And as you'll find out in yesterday's video, it is another girl. Also very exciting. So I'm back today. It is Friday. Tomorrow is Miss Lucy's birthday. So we have a busy day getting ready for that today because it happens to land on a Saturday, so we're just having her birthday party on the same day as well. So might as well. Yes, you are. So I'm going to start making Lucy's cake today. I'm going to make it and crumb coat it and put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow will be all the decorating. And I'm also making some chili for the party, so I'm making that later today. And we're going to go to the playground this morning. We might have to stop at the store for something. We might go to our storage unit to get a couple of things. We will see how we're doing on time with all of that. A busy afternoon for that. And tomorrow's my baby's birthday. So we just came to the playground very briefly. It is actually freezing out. It says 43, but it's windy, so it's definitely colder. Yeah, it said, well, okay, it says it feels like 44. I don't know, it feels colder. I think it's because it's been like 70 and mid 60s the past few days, so it's been very nice and warm. And I'm just not used to it being cold again. Mother Nature keeps tricking us, thinking it's winter / fall, and then it goes back to being nice warm weather again. So we're actually gonna go up to our storage unit because all our winter stuff, at least mine and Lucy's, is in storage, and her hands are like bright red from how cold it was at the playground, so we need to get her some mittens and sweaters and hats before we come back and play at the playground. I'm cold too, and like she's a lot littler than me, so she's gotta be so cold. So we are gonna go to our storage unit and do that. And I'm also hoping that we can find some Halloween decorations that we can put up in the house. Okay, we are back, and we did manage to find our winter stuff. I've got 3 totes here of mine, and I did find some of Troy's and Lucy's winter stuff, which is good. So we were able to go back to the playground and play some more because I found her vest and a hat and stuff. And it's such a beautiful day out, but it's just so cold, and there's like a very cold wind. So we got some outdoor time, and they had a lawnmower at the playground, and I'm making some hot cocoa now. I'm just heating up the water first, then I'm gonna make the mix in the cups. So I've got her little Lucy cup and mine, and I'm just gonna show you how I make my homemade hot cocoa. It's very easy, very simple. I don't like really measure anything, so first I take just some cocoa powder and I put probably 2 tablespoons in each mug, maybe a little bit less. And then just to make it a little bit sweeter and more chocolatey, I'm going to add a little handful of chocolate chips. I use this dry milk powder. And again, probably a couple of tablespoons. Well, maybe like a tablespoon. And then I use coconut sugar. And I do a heaping teaspoon in each. And then I have some whipped cream in the fridge, so I'm going to top them off with whipped cream. So that's what I add in, and then I'll taste it and see if it needs more sweetness, and I'll add a little bit of honey or maybe some more coconut sugar if it needs more sweetness. My water is nice and hot. I'm going to add it into the mugs. I'm going to leave a little bit of room in Lucy's just to add some cold milk so it doesn't get too hot for her to not be able to drink. Use a fork. I would use my little hand mixer, but the battery is dead, so unfortunately I can't get batteries. So I'm just going to use a fork to kind of whisk it up, make sure all those little chocolate chips are melted. Lucy's. Yeah, just to cool it off a little bit. And I have some whipped cream I made the other day. I'm just gonna add a nice dollop. Here you go, Lucy. Here you go.
I'm making this princess.
Well, we're just making the cake part right now, okay?
Cake part.
So Lucy is going to help me make her birthday cake.
I can make princess frog cake.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make the cake part now. When she's sleeping, I'm gonna make the filling and the frosting and cream coat it, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be decorating it. Thank you. So I've got this book, Tanya Bakes by Tanya Burr, and this is like one of my favorite baking books. It has the best like vanilla cake. It's a Victoria sponge cake, but I always use it for all my cakes now. It's amazing. This one right here. You can tell it's well loved because it's covered in grease and flour and all sorts of delicious things. I'm actually going to double the recipe because I want to make sure I have enough cake. And with gluten-free baking, it doesn't puff up as much and it makes a much smaller cake, and I need plenty of room to be able to decorate the cake. So I'm going to double the recipe, which is going to make a lot of cake. But it needs to be doubled. 450 grams of unsalted butter, which I already got out this morning, so it should be nice and soft to cream it nicely in the mixer. I'm going to use a stand mixer, which I have over there, and I'll probably film little snippets. No, this is a whole entire pound of butter, if you were wondering. Yep. Okay, a pound or 4 sticks of butter. So that, and then to that I'm going to add, the recipe is everything's in even quantities, so there's only like 6 ingredients, but it's,
I got this.
Lucy's got her hot cocoa, so it's 225 grams of the butter, the sugar, the flour, so you double it all and you do the same amount.
I'm making oopsie.
So then we're going to do 450 grams of granulated sugar.
Yeah.
450 grams. So I'm gonna go pop this on my stand mixer over there and let it cream for several minutes, which is gonna take a little bit longer. So the recipe calls for 4 eggs, so I'm gonna use 8. 2, 4, 8. I'm actually gonna do 7, so there's not. So I'm gonna get the eggs out and let them come to room temperature so they're not freezing cold when I add it to the butter and sugar. Prep our pans with some oil and a little dusting of flour just to really make sure they come out of the pan nicely. I've just put oil, and then we're just gonna mix it around, just make sure it gets on all the parts of the pan. We don't want any cake to stick. The butter and sugar is still creaming, so we are going to crack our eggs in a bowl separately in case we get any shells in, and then we'll add it in, okay? Great. Good job. The butter and sugar is creamed, so I'm going to go add the eggs. We did 6 eggs.
Is that not ready yet?
No, and then it calls for a teaspoon of vanilla extract, so I'm going to do 2, and I've just got this vanilla powder, so I'm going to go add that in, and then we're going to whisk the eggs and vanilla together, and then we'll do the flour. After we've added the flour and everything and put it in the pans, okay? Oh, we buy pink Himalayan salt, so we have to like crush it ourselves. Goodness, it's so good, but lots of work. So again, we want 450 grams of flour. I'm just gonna add all the dry ingredients separately in this, and then I'm gonna go add it into the mixer. Good job, a little bit, okay. And then we're doing a teaspoon of baking powder, so we're gonna make that 2. And I'm gonna go add this into the mixer.
Get that. Oh, holy cow. Those are big.
Yeah.
Really? Oh. Those are big cakes.
Big cakes.
Big cakes.
So I'm gonna start these at 18 to 20 minutes and we'll see how we go from there. Please excuse my hair, it's literally crazy. So Lucy is down for her nap now and I'm gonna get started on making the filling and the frosting for her cake. So I'm doing a little strawberry filling, kind of like a homemade strawberry jam, and then I'm going to make a Swiss meringue buttercream, which is the best kind of buttercream because it's very easy to dye different colors and it's just so smooth and silky on the cake. So I am going to get started with the strawberry filling first because my butter is still not quite warm enough for making the frosting. So I'm going to get started on the strawberry. Got the strawberries, a little bit of water and sugar, and I'm gonna cook this until it's nice and mushy, and if I need to, I'm gonna add a little bit of cornstarch just to thicken it up a bit. Next, I'm going to make my Swiss meringue buttercream, and I'm just pulling up my recipe. 6 large egg whites or 230 grams. So I just buy a box of egg whites so I don't have to waste a bunch of egg yolks because I'm not going to be using them in the cake. So I just have this that I'll use, and I'm just going to weigh this out on my scale here. I'm going to add 2 cups or 400 grams of granulated sugar. I have a double boiler getting heated up on the stove. So you whisk the egg whites and sugar over a couple of inches of steaming hot water in a separate bowl until the sugar has fully dissolved in the egg whites, or until it reaches about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So now that the egg whites and sugar have dissolved, I'm going to whip it on high speed until the bowl is no longer hot to the touch. So this is what it's looking like, kind of like fluff, and the bowl, the side of the bowls are nice and cool, so I'm going to start adding the butter in slowly, like a chunk at a time, so it can be absorbed into the meringue. Okay, so I have made my Swiss meringue buttercream. I have that over here. I've got my little cake ground, and I always just put a teeny bit of the frosting right here to keep the cake attached to the cake board so it doesn't take off. I'm going to start assembling and doing the crumb coat for the cake. I'm going to do a layer of this.
Give me my present.
Yes, it does. It's a small little thin layer. And I'm just going to use this to pipe a little ring around the outside so that the filling doesn't fall out. And I'm going to fill it with the strawberry jam I made before. I'm going to add my second layer, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did for this layer here. Okay, now that I've got my cake, I'm going to cover it in a thin layer of the frosting just to seal all the crumbs in, which is why it's called the crumb coat, and then we're going to put it in the fridge.
I'm really going to see. Here's my minute.
Cake is crumb coated, and now it's going to go in the fridge, and once this cools off, I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap, and I'm going to finish decorating it tomorrow. I just wanted to show you one other thing I'm making for the party, some chili. This is some homemade frozen broth, and I'm just going to let this slow cook overnight, and it is going to be so good.